Hello, my name is Brian Butts, and I am not good at fantasy football. Let's get into the matchups.
Alrighty, first up we got Stouty Sunburns over the IR. Stouty scored the most points in the league this week, played all the right people, and scored more points than he had in any contest all year. Just my luck. This week's injuries for me included Rob Kelly and Will Fuller, who both left their games injured. Next up, we got Mallory over Jacob. The Fighting Blizzards finally played someone good and lost as a result. Saxonville won despite the lowest output from Jacksonville's defense all year. Next, the Custodial Engineers took down Team Missing Persons. Corey only had 2 players score 0 points, so this week was basically a win for him. Lawhorn's Lovable Losers took down the Hanging Chads. The Kamara Sutras actually had a down week across the board. Luckily, they face me next week, so they're guaranteed to bounce back and have a good week. And finally, Dad barely beat Luby in another hilariously close game that was decided on Monday night. This time, the Tuesday Morning Glories awoke in despair. The loss can easily be pinpointed to Mike Nugent, who missed his only field goal attempt, which would clearly have provided Luby a victory. Bengals fans shudder at the pure deja vu. Based on how he felt in the morning, Luby won this week's Krabby Award presented by Dirty Dick's Crab House. You give us money, we give you crabs. Dirty Dick's. I get my crabs from Dirty Dick's Crab House. For winning this week's Krabby Award, Luby has earned 1 free league fee for next year. Wow, that's big news right there. Congrats, Luby. Now let's get into week 11. First up, the Fighting Blizzards took down the Hanging Chads with a strong performance from Antonio Brown, who put up 32 points. Jacob has won 3 times over the past 4 weeks. Unfortunately, it is too little too late for Jacob, who is officially out of the playoff race. Unbelievably, Luby again missed the deciding point of his game, as he did not have the win locked up until Russell Wilson's impressive fantasy performance on Monday night. The Tuesday Morning Glories awoke to find their 5-point deficit had turned into a 25-point win. The Kamara Sutras added a new page as they drilled the injured reserve from behind all weekend, extending my losing streak to 5 weeks in a row and effectively removing my already slim playoff hopes. The Sagging Suspenders lost this week, putting up the fewest points of any team not coached by Corey. Fortunately, since teams playing my dad score on average 20 fucking points less every week than when they play me, the sellouts are still almost guaranteed a spot in the playoffs. And finally, the Custodial Engineers took down Saxonville despite another impressive game by the Jaguars defense. Based on recent performances, it looks like this year's final may be a Lawhorn and Casey showdown. That would officially be the ugliest coached final in league history. Now for this week's Coach Spotlight. This week's Spotlight is Eric Lawhorn, aka Lawhorn, Corn Dog, Law Dog, Raw Dog, and Never Eric. Coach of Lawhorn's Lovable Losers, also known as the Kamara Sutras. Lawhorn is an alumni of Ohio University, where he studied how to get paid to watch sports. And since this is a fake degree anyway, he was able to finish in just over 3 years. He is currently a sports analyst for the Puxatawny Chucks, I believe, and his accomplishments can fit on a very short list and include getting a hit off Gus Ragland, as he probably told you many times, getting hit by a pitch while wearing my belt, you're welcome, striking out the side against Alter in one of the most impressive pitching performances by a player-manager ever. Lawhorn is also the only coach in the league whose face doesn't appear in the first page of results if you Google the name in images. And that pretty much sums up Lawhorn's accomplishments all by itself.
I am in 2 fantasy leagues and haven't won a game in 6 weeks. I have no answer. I also have no mail this week, probably because I moved from Houston back to Cincinnati, so you guys probably sent all the mail down to Houston. So once that comes to me next week, I'll share it in the video. And look out for that video coming soon where I'll tell you how I probably lose again. See you next week.